Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max and I'm the host of this channel. I was halfway through mowing my lawns when I checked the Sydney Morning Herald and I saw the Wallabies squad has been named for 2022. Isaac Rodda has not been considered for selection due to injury. Kurtley Beale and Reece Hodge have missed the cut, whilst Harry Johnson Holmes has also been excluded. So there's a big few names that are missing from this lineup. We're also seeing quite a few recalls, while Michael Hooper is remaining on as captain, and a big thank you to my patrons before we get right into this video. I think we're past the days of just laughing over the terrible teams the Wallabies have named throughout history, and I do think Dave Rennie has kept a bit of an open mind when naming this squad. We'll start off with explaining the hookers, and Folau Fainga'a, even though he's leaving the Brumbies, has been named there, so he's almost certain to start in the number 2 jersey. Lachlan Lonergan seems to be the up-and-comer at 22 years old with 4 tests to his name, so it's good to see a succession plan in order for the Wallabies. Dave Parecki though, do you really want to get an uncapped guy in at 29? It's a bit of a gamble, but if worst comes to worst, it's the worst case scenario, there's no other options, it is good to have an experienced player in there. Hopefully Ian Foster will do the same with Kurt Eklunds tomorrow. Over to the props, it's good to see Angus Bell get selected. He's a very promising number 1 with a lot of beef. And over to the other loose head props, Scott CO has been included. When I met him after a Brumbies versus Chiefs match, he said he might not be picked, but he is indeed in there, so it's good to have his 69 test caps remaining in the squad. James Slipper has also been picked. At 33 years old, he has 114 caps to his name, and it's quite safe to say he could be looking out to break George Gregan's record if he can avoid injury. Also, the tight head props, Alan Alatoa and Taniela Tupou, both very strong number 3s in that squad. It's just a bit of a debate though, which of those two is going to actually get the start for Australia. Ala Alatoa has been a very good captain for the Brumbies this season, whilst Tupou is definitely in career best form. Poni Fa'amausili has then pipped Harry Johnson Holmes, as the Herald says. Fa'amausili has been touted as a potential Wallaby for a very long time, and so it's quite good to see him get in there. His body mass will be very valuable in the scrum, particularly if he's in combination with Angus Bell. Over to the locks, Matt Phillip is quite clearly going to be starting for the Wallabies. He's been immense for the Rebels this season, even though he's just 28 years old with just 20 caps. He is probably the most senior lock in the team right now, so he kind of lacks test caps for someone at his age, but he is in very good form, so it's very pleasing to see Phillip in the squad indeed. Darcy Swain is most likely going to be his locking partner as Isaac Rodda is injured and Lukan Salakaialoto is moving overseas. Darcy Swain's played 10 tests at 24 years old, and so he'll look to get quite a lot more as his career progresses. We now have 2 uncapped locks. Nick Frost, who at 22 years old is 6'9", so will no doubt provide a lot of height in that line out off the bench. They then have Caden Neville, I hope I'm saying his first name correctly. He is 33 years old and has never played a test, and here we go, he's in the Wallabies. Guys, it just shows you can make it at any age. I don't necessarily agree with picking someone of that age, but it's a very bold move by Dave Rennie. Over to the loose forwards, Michael Hooper has been retained as the coach's captain. He is 30 years old and has played 118 tests, so Michael Hooper is another one eyeing up the record of George Gregan, their very well-known halfback from the 90s and the 2000s. Jed Holloway at 29 years old has also been picked as an uncapped player. Are they potentially looking at continuing with a big blindside flanker in the absence of Salakai Lotto to Northampton? It is totally possible that that's the alternative they are seeking, so it'll be quite interesting to see how Jed Holloway goes in the team. Rob Valentini is most likely going to be their first choice number 8. At 23 years old, he's now got 18 caps to his name, and he's quite a powerful player. He's been doing a lot of good things for the Brumbies. His namesake, Rob Leota, has done likewise for the Melbourne Rebels, so it's no surprise to see him getting selected for this team. Harry Wilson is also in there, has been recalled after missing out on last year's end-of-year tests. At 22 years old, he's played 10 tests, so he could well and truly reach 100. Pete Samu's also in there, and it's quite safe to say he'll be getting a few minutes off that bench. He's a bit of a jack of all trades, so it may be quite exciting to see the impact he'll bring. Over to the halfbacks, Nick White is no doubt going to be the first choice. It was a bit up for debate by the end of last year after Tate McDermott had a lot of very good performances. Nick White has well and truly wrestled the 9 jersey back to his own hands. McDermott is of course in there. He's a 23-year-old with 15 caps and has been the captain of the Reds as of late, so it's no doubt he's going to be quite a critical player in the dying moments of a match. Jake Gordon, who has been a massive influence behind the Waratahs' resurgence, has been picked as the third choice. He's 28 years old, so as an experienced player you can rely on to just do the basics. The first 5s, Quade Cooper, despite being a Kiwi, is finally being offered Aussie citizenship, and goodness me, it's about time. He's played 75 tests. He will most likely start in the 10 jersey, as I do believe he is in the top 100 players in the world. Noah Lolosio is in there after 9 tests at 22 years old. His defense does look suspect, but his goal kicking looks to be getting far better. James O'Connor could probably be up to 200 tests by now, had it not been for a few mistakes that he dealt with in his past. He is a very experienced player at 31 years old after 61 tests though, so he's going to be quite important for the Wallabies as well. No Matt Tu'umua, which is quite interesting to see that he is not in the squad still. This could possibly be the end rather of Tu'umua's Wallabies career. Over to the midfielders, we've got Len Ikitau at 23 years old, who's no doubt going to bring a lot of energy onto the pitch, whilst Samu Karevi is also being brought back from Japan. It's quite interesting what's going on with Karevi and how he's continuing to play with Australia, despite the fact that if he wanted to, he could regain eligibility for Fiji with the birthright amendment laws. Hunter Paisami's often going to bring some physicality as well. The 24-year-old's played 15 tests, and a few people do rate Paisami quite highly. Isaiah Parisi's getting another look in at 25 years old. He was first brought into the squad in like 2017, but he's still got just 2 caps. It's quite interesting, and I just want to see, is he actually gonna get any more? Or is it just a 5th choice midfielder to make up the numbers? Jordan Pattaya is a bit of a utility back, so I've just put him up here as a midfielder. I'm kind of unsure if we'll see him on the wing or in the centres, as he tends to just play pretty much anywhere the coaches are going to pick him. Over to the outside backs, I have heard Tom Banks is off to Japan on a very, very lavishly paying deal, but he has been retained in the squad at 27 years old. Andrew Callaway, who was a nominee for World Rugby's Breakthrough Player of the Year last year, has also been retained, as has Marika Koroi-Betty, who is coming back from Japan in hopes of reaching 50 tests this season. He still has quite a lot of pace as well. We're now over to Tom Wright, who has come in place of Reece Hodge, who has been axed. Tom Wright has had a very, very good season and is one of Super Rugby's top try scorers, so it's not exactly a huge surprise to see him in here. And to finish the squad off, we've got Suliasi Vunivalu, who is Fijian born, and he also played 100 games for the Melbourne Storm in Rugby League. He's made himself into a bit of a winger over in Union, and so New Zealand and Australia doing what New Zealand and Australia always always do, have got themselves a code conversion yet again. So guys, that rounds out the 2022 Wallabies squad to face England. I will be covering every match between those two nations, whilst I will also be doing for the same for the same test series between my own country, New Zealand, and Ireland. Make sure to support me over on Instagram and subscribe to this channel. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, comment your thoughts on it, and hit the notification bell if you don't ever want to miss another video. You can also make financial donations to me through Patreon or my PayPal tip jar, and I am on Twitter, so head over there if you want to see a bit of cheeky yarn, stuff like that, just a bit of banter. And thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Been a pleasure. Thank you.